Are Oakland A's owner John Fisher and MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred carrying out their own warp and twisted version of Sherman's March to the Sea as it relates to baseball in Northern California, pillaging the region's love of the sport and leaving a trail of smoldering rubble on their way to Las Vegas? Yes, that is exactly what will happen should Sacramento provide safe harbor to the Oakland Athletics. For starters, let's address the elephant in the room. No, not you, Stomper. Alright, that's better. Everyone in Sacramento should absolutely know better than to go anywhere near the Oakland A's or John Fisher. What he is doing with the city of Oakland and his baseball franchise mirrors very closely with what the Maloof Brothers tried to do to the Sacramento Kings back in the day. The city playing any role in this travesty of a relocation would be extremely hypocritical. That, though, is just one of a litany of reasons why Sacramento should want nothing to do with the Oakland A's. I'm Cheyenne Hollis. This is the Touchback, and today we're going to talk about why Sacramento should not host the Oakland Athletics. There are some folks in the world you should just avoid at all costs. Juggalos, people wearing off-brand MAGA apparel, Rodgers behind the wheel of a car after a night out, Mark S. Allen behind the wheel of a car after a night out, the Noid, and Oakland A's owner John Fisher asking you for a favor and saying he'll hit you back. That's what this all boils down to, right? Fisher doesn't have a place for his baseball team to play for at least 3 seasons between 2025 and 2028 and is now looking for some mark he can exploit with the allure of Major League Baseball. That allure of MLB action, it's certainly a strong one. And make no mistake, Sacramento actually getting to have Major League Baseball games beyond those stupid minor league showcases at the start of the season, it would be really, really cool. That reality should not come in the form of what is essentially an Oakland A's bailout. Make no mistake, as I have said on this channel previously, Sacramento is absolutely an MLB town. Like, there's no doubt the capital here would love to have its own Major League Baseball franchise. However, in the form of a temporary stay in the Oakland A's, well, that ain't the answer to anything. With that in mind, let's take a look at 4 key reasons why Sacramento should have nothing to do with the Oakland Athletics as a temporary host or a temporary home for the team. For starters, it destroys any potential for minor league baseball in the city moving forward. The idea that the Sacramento River Cats are going to disappear for 3 years and come back to a hungry fan base ready for some AAA baseball, that is decidedly far-fetched. Hell, what are the River Cats even going to do for 3 seasons? Are they just going to find their own AAA temporary home? Are they going to play in Sacramento alongside the A's? I mean, the city supporting both a major league and a AAA team, that is absolutely ridiculous. Beyond that, though, you just need to look at some of the other cities that have lost major league teams and seen what their appetite level for minor league baseball had been once those sides had bolted. Montreal has seemingly wanted nothing to do with any form of minor league baseball since the Expos left town. They found minor league baseball to be so unpalatable that they demanded an expansion franchise, and when that left, they actually just stole the Expos from Montreal. If the Minnesota Twins or Tampa Bay Rays had contracted in the 2000s as Bud Selig wanted to do you really think those cities would have been clamoring for minor league baseball? No, absolutely not. They just would have simply ignored the sport from then on out. The A's potentially playing in Sacramento isn't a case of like when the Seattle Seahawks played in Husky Stadium for a couple of seasons, or when the Chicago Bears held home games down in Champaign, Illinois back in like the early 2000s when they were renovating Soldier Field. In those cases, nearby facilities helped fill a gap to support the local sports scene by and large. On the contrary, when the A's leave Sacramento after their 3-year stint or whatever, like, no one's going to be able to watch A's games on television. No one's going to be able to follow the team locally. There will be no coverage or interest in the team when they are gone from the California capital. It will be as if the franchise were never here at all. Hell, Oakland supported the A's for decades, and all they got from John Fisher were complaints about how they didn't do enough for him. That brings us back to the Sacramento River Cats. The idea the city of Sacramento is just going to warmly embrace and support a minor league franchise after having that taste of Major League ball, it just doesn't work like that. We have evidence that shows that once those cities get that big league experience, it's all they crave, it's all they want. Sure, there will still be people who go to the games. I mean, the River Cats have always drawn attendance despite the fact that for most of the city, it's kind of just an afterthought, just something there. I think though what you'll see is a lot of people just sort of thumbing their nose down at the concept of minor league baseball after having that major league team in town, which basically means you have salted the earth of Sacramento when it comes to baseball. Like, the city won't be interested in anything apart from MLB, and that is just not good, especially if you're going to need to revamp a minor league stadium in the town to host the Oakland A's. The second reason Sacramento should want nothing to do with the Oakland A's is pretty easy. The team is ass, and it is going to be ass for a very, very long time. We just saw Oakland lose a record-setting number of games. So what is John Fisher and Dave Kaval and the front office doing to rectify that situation? Well, they're not spending on free agents. They're not doing anything to improve the farm system. What is the pathway for this side to be even remotely competitive? And by remotely competitive, I mean losing 90 or 80 games instead of 120 some odd games. There just isn't a pathway that exists that will see the Oakland A's be anything other than god-awful over the next really 5 to 10 years. This is a side that wants nothing to do with signing any sort of free agent. This is a franchise with a farm system that is ranked in the lower third of the league by just about every expert out there. How is this team going to be anything but terrible? They don't have any players. They're not doing anything to get more players. Even if some of these prospects hit and become good, the team has so many holes out there that it won't lift up anything. You're still going to get more of the same. I'm sorry, Nick Allen, Tony Kemp, a bunch of pitchers who probably would have a tough time making it on the River Cats roster. It just isn't all of that appealing. Now, of course, there is the flip side of this. You know, you would get other teams coming in the town, and there would be the novelty of that for those in Sacramento. There's a bit of the Washington Generals effect here, though. At first, the Washington Generals would be fun because you would get to see the Harlem Globetrotters play them on the regular. Eventually, though, that novelty, it just wears off entirely. You get tired of seeing a team get its brains beat in night after night. That is likely what's going to happen with the A's anywhere they play over the next 3 to 5 years as they're waiting for a stadium to be built in Las Vegas, assuming that gets built. The idea that Sacramento should just be cool with 3 100-loss seasons because it means it gets Major League Baseball, I don't buy that. I don't think that's a good investment. It just doesn't make a lot of sense when you look at the bigger picture. It would be fun for, you know, seeing the big stars on occasion, but I mean, are you really interested in an August showdown between the A's and, say, the Chicago White Sox? Is that really better than what you're already getting at Wrigley Field for far less money, I might add? The third reason why Sacramento should absolutely avoid the Oakland A's comes down to a simple question. Who is paying for this? John Fisher couldn't come up with the $80 million or so required to get the Howard Terminal project off the ground. All of the money he can scrounge up under his couch cushions and from asking his family for extra dollars, it's going right to the new stadium in Las Vegas. As it currently stands, Sutter Health Field is not even close to being a temporary minor league capable facility. This is a stadium that was built in 9 months, 23 years ago. There ain't no way in hell that the Major League Baseball Players Association is letting their union members play games in that AAA facility without some major renovations. Those renovations, of course, cost money that John Fisher does not seem to have. So someone is going to have to foot the bill here, and given everything we know about Major League Baseball, it seems it will unlikely be them. That means Sacramento is going to have to pick up the tab on all of this extra stuff. It doesn't need for a AAA facility, by the way, just to host 3 measly seasons of terrible baseball. I do not get that at all. It seems like a pretty bad investment. That investment would be even worse should Sacramentans decide, hey, we don't like minor league baseball anymore. Perhaps the most worrying thing about all of this is simply the way Major League Baseball now operates minor league baseball. They are simply ripping teams away, they're folding teams, they're moving teams, they're switching teams as far as locations are concerned. I mean, look at Fresno Stadium right now. That is probably a AAA stadium, but they could only get single A baseball. They built that stadium for a AAA team, and in Major League Baseball said, yeah, actually, guess what? You're getting a single A team. Deal with it. How does Sacramento protect itself from that scenario down the road? Sure, MLB may say it'll provide some protections to ensure Sacramento's team will always stay AAA or that they won't move the River Cats, but we also know that Rob Manfred is not to be trusted in any way, shape, or form. I just don't see this being a good investment for the city of Sacramento, given the fact that A, you don't know if people will return to love minor league baseball after the A's have been here. 2, the A's are going to be bad regardless. And 3, that you can't actually protect the future of the AAA team because MLB is just chopping and changing minor league baseball at its whims. Finally, the last reason why I do not believe Sacramento should have anything to do with the Oakland A's is that it enables Major League Baseball's greed. It enables their crappy practices and their just desire to screw over cities from coast to coast. Why should Sacramento help John Fisher, Rob Manfred, and all other owners out of a jam they contrived to make? This year alone, we've had about 5 or 6, maybe even 7 different cities get threatened by Major League Baseball if they did not give the league and those teams their money for stadium renovations or new stadiums or whatever the case may be. Being a solution for the Oakland A's simply enables this type of behavior. It basically shows other cities that if they do not acquiesce to Major League Baseball's demands, that somehow the sport can figure it out. They'll find temporary homes. They'll get those new stadiums built. That does not seem like something anyone should want to happen. More importantly, the Athletics are abandoning Northern California. Major League Baseball is abandoning Northern California. They have decided that we don't matter to the sport, that the Giants can simply strip mine everything, and if we don't like it, tough tits. They are here to get money. They only care about money. It's not about their traditions. It's not about the sport people grew up loving. It's about that paper. Sacramento shouldn't be helping this pursuit. Sacramento shouldn't be simply, just enabling, like I said earlier. Sacramento should not enable the MLB's need for greed by providing safe harbor, by simply helping facilitate a relocation that should have never taken place in the first place. All of this said, I can understand why some people in Sacramento and the Central Valley may be excited by the potential of the A's playing in the city for a few seasons. I get it. Sacramento has an interesting history with baseball. It's really always wanted a Major League Baseball team to call its own. Having one, even for a few seasons, would mean a lot to people. But I think sometimes you also have to look at the bigger picture in these scenarios. When you zoom out and you just see the landscape, is that how you really want to be a Major League Baseball city? Personally, I don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. When I look at the baseball landscape after the A's leave Sacramento, that is what worries me the most. Would those few seasons be fun? Sure, for many they would. Ultimately, though, it would leave the state of baseball in Northern California in a worse place. The fleeting success or the fleeting support for any minor league baseball team in Sacramento would be gone. Major League Baseball is not coming back to Northern California. Let's not even pretend that is a reality. Not to Oakland, not to Sacramento, not to Wairika. Like, that sport has said our region doesn't matter. The idea that we can get in their good graces by being a temporary host, that we can pull off in Oklahoma City, yeah, that ain't happening. Not with the current powers that be in charge. There's the optics of it. I think as a Sacramentan, can you really look yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, we're cool with facilitating or helping to facilitate the Oakland A's relocation after what happened or what nearly happened to our lone professional sports franchise? They didn't even care where they went. They were going to go to Virginia Beach if they had to. They just wanted to be out of Sacramento. And we have seen the same story play out with the Athletics. To play a role in that sad story, even if it was a bit part, even if Sacramento was a footnote in the tale of the Oakland A's moving to Las Vegas, I just don't want it. You know, as much as Major League Baseball would be an awesome experience for the city, given our history, given what we have been through, I think that I would much rather show solidarity with preventing MLB greed, just from being a part of this whole awful situation. Yeah, I know someone will provide safe harbor to John Fisher and the A's. It's just how it works. It's how the world works. There's always someone willing to do something crappy if it can benefit them in some way, shape, or form. That doesn't mean, though, you have to be the one that does that crappy thing. Sacramento should have nothing to do with the Oakland Athletics. That does it for me. I'm Cheyenne Hollis. This is the Touchback, hashtag sell the team, although technically not possible anymore. And as always, take it out to the 25.